Hello. I wanted to talk a little bit about smart home integrations. So I've had a lot of friends and family talk to me lately about, what should they buy? Should they get Amazon Echoes, Google Homes? What technology should they buy? Um, First off, I think the most important thing is to realize your use case. Why do you want to get smart home tech? What do you want to use it for? How do you want to interact with it, most importantly? So if you're going to do voice commands or not, or if you're just going to use smartphone apps, um, a lot of different products exist and they don't all integrate with each other well. It's actually kind of a nightmare to get everything to play nice. So in my home, I have a mix of Google and Amazon voice assistants, and I have all of my devices working with both of them, which is a bit challenging, but they have different pros and cons, and my wife and I have different opinions about what one they like best and so on. So first up, I would say figure out how you interact with it. If you use a lot of other Amazon products, going with an Echo is the way to go. Just do that. If you have an Android device, if you're heavily in Google's ecosystem, if you've got a Chromecast, the Google Home products are the way to go. I would actually recommend the Google Home Hub in that case. They're really good. The sound quality, as far as the speaker goes, isn't as good, but if your goal is to automate your home, they're the best thing you can buy. If you want to just do like casual voice stuff occasionally, turn the lights on, that kind of stuff, either of those products are fine. In terms of what integrates with what, the Philips Hue ecosystem, like if you live in an apartment building, I would say just go with Hue bulbs because they work really well. They're not cheap, but they last a long time. They're really pretty amazing bulbs. You can actually see in the background behind me, up in my bookshelf there's actually a Hue Philips Hue Bloom product, and I also have Hue Play on my gaming PC. Those products work really well. If you have a house, though, I would recommend not going with that and actually getting smart light switches. I've tried a couple different products in my home. The Belkin Wemo products, I don't recommend those. They have some issues with Wi-Fi. So like if you have one or two of them, like you're just going to put in a smart plug or a light switch, it's fine. But if you have a consumer Wi-Fi router or something provided by your ISP or whatever, most consumer devices don't handle a lot of connections. So like if you're going to do your whole house in smart light switches, it will fall over. It will completely, you'll have internet connection problems. It'll be completely random. Your router basically will get overloaded. So we started buying a lot of Wemo products, and they use multicast technology to communicate with each other over Wi-Fi. And some routers have issues with that or don't scale well. We actually had a Google on-hub Wi-Fi router, which is their previous Wi-Fi products. And we had a mesh network, and like we had over 35 devices between, our phones and all of those smart products and whatnot. And it was causing the router to freak out and connections to be dropped and random stuff. And we actually had to upgrade to a Unify Wi-Fi setup because none of the consumer stuff could handle the number of devices we have. So I've kind of backed away from doing Wi-Fi based smart home technology. Some things you just have to do that. Like we have a smart garage door opener, the MyQ by Chamberlain. It's not very good at integrating with other products like Amazon. They sort of support Cloud Key, but we had a lot of trouble getting that set up, and it hasn't worked that great. As far as actually just I want to open and close it from my phone or from an Echo, it works fine. But when you're trying to do more complex stuff, you can't, I should clarify that, you cannot open a garage door from an Echo. It only lets you close them, which is kind of annoying, especially with the Amazon Auto in my car. I would love to be able to say, open the garage door, and I can't. So there's that. But in general, like the Wi-Fi, going back to the original point, the Wi-Fi sucks on the Wemo stuff. It's really, really bad. It loses connections frequently. There's parts of our house that the devices, like I have to reboot the light switch frequently because it just loses the Wi-Fi connection. and we have solid coverage. Like everything else works fine except those. So yeah, I don't recommend those. I actually think the best thing to do right now is to go old school and go with Z-Wave or Zigbee light switches. They both have pros and cons. The Zigbee stuff is compatible with Amazon's Echo Plus. You can also use like a Samsung SmartThings hub with that, and they work pretty well. I actually prefer the Z-Wave stuff better because it runs on 900 megahertz instead of 2.4 gigahertz, so it doesn't interfere with Wi-Fi. Sometimes cell phones or microwave ovens or a couple of other things could still interfere with smart light switches, whether they're 2.4 or 900 megahertz. So that's also something to take into account. But the Z-Wave stuff, even though it's old school, I've got that paired with a Samsung SmartThings hub, and that works really well. They work with both, like the SmartThings hub integration works both with the Google and Amazon ecosystem. It plays really nice. You also have the SmartThings app. They're a little bit more annoying to wire, like the Wemo instructions and the way that they're set up in the box is much easier to hook up. Like, you know, either way you're hooking up wires, but like with the Wemo, for example, it has like the 4 wires, including the neutral wire, like on the device, and then it comes with everything you need to install it. Whereas if you go with Leviton or whatever, Z-Wave, you might have to go to the Home Depot or somewhere and buy some wire because you're going to have a jumper wire between the neutral line in the wall and your switch because it doesn't come with one. My understanding is some of the GE products do. I haven't used those, but at least the Leviton stuff does not come with the wire. And wire's cheap. Like I wish they would just throw it in the box for that, but they don't. However, those switches, once you get them set up really well, the on-off switches are great. The dimmer switches are kind of buggy. Mostly they have problems with newer light bulbs. Like if you have an LED, even if it's a dimmable bulb, yeah, I've had problems with those working, flickering problems and things like that. They're particularly bad with the GE LED bulbs. Like, do not buy those. The reveal bulbs do not work. So you have to do research online what light bulbs are safe to buy with those. I've been using Cree bulbs, and those have been working really well. So that's my recommendation there. As far as dimming capability, the Belkin switches, even though they do have connection problems with Wi-Fi, they actually dim really well. And they have a wizard to walk you through like configuring it for your bulb and stuff, so you can kind of smooth out some of the flickering problems that you might have on some of the bulbs. So that's a really good choice. I think most people care about lighting right now. We've actually gone a lot farther. So we have SmartThings sensors for like leak detection, multi-purpose sensors on our windows, so we know if they're open or closed. You can do home security stuff. You can, do a lot of things. Another area a lot of people ask me about are thermostats. We have a Nest thermostat, and I used to recommend those to everybody. I don't anymore. I still think it's a great product, but if you're just going to use it as a thermostat on your phone, it's still a good product. Or if you decide to buy a Google ecosystem product, but you can't integrate them anymore with anything because of them killing the old Nest integration program. There's so many products I have that used to have integrations, including the Wemos actually, and you can't do any integrations anymore. So I would go with something else. The Honeywell products I've heard are really good. There's some other brands that are looking good, but smart thermostats are a big mess, and it kind of ties you into an ecosystem. I mean, we bought a lot of Nest stuff. We have Nest cams. We have Nest smoke detectors. The smoke detectors are amazing. I love those. The Nest cams occasionally have Wi-Fi problems. They do use a lot of bandwidth. So we actually had to upgrade our internet connection in order to have all the cameras running consistently, which was unfortunate. The upstream bandwidth wasn't enough for them. And I have them all on low settings too, and they're still pretty intensive on the Wi-Fi router. So that's another concern. You have to have a decent internet connection for a lot of this stuff to work right. As far as the thermostats, the other thing to consider is if you ever want to do any other integrations, like the Nest Protect will integrate with the thermostats, so that if there's a fire or something, they'll turn off your furnace, things like that. We just installed smart vents the other day. I'm still working on getting those integrated, but the company didn't ship the hub, so I'm waiting for them to fix that. But I did get it integrated with my SmartThings hub for now, and they used to have integrations with Nest where it would dynamically, based on temperature change, the vent settings and stuff to kind of tweak it. None of that works now. So I was able to do some manual automations on SmartThings based on temperature, but it's not as good as it could have been. As far as the smart vents go, I would wait on those products a little bit longer. I mean, the build quality was great, but the software isn't there yet. Not a good integration. So I hope that answers a few questions some people have. Focus on how do you want to interact with it. If it's not digital, if you don't care about voice integration, I strongly think the Samsung SmartThings product line is really good. They have one or two products with it that aren't good, like the arrival sensors. Avoid those at all costs. The leak detector sensors are great. The multi-purpose sensors are pretty good. And there's a lot of third-party products that will integrate with them because it does Zigbee and Z-Wave, and in addition to SmartThings specific products. So there are smart light or smart switches that you can plug into an outlet are really good. They're also Zigbee repeaters. I've had a lot less problems with those than the Wemo. Like, I initially bought all Wemo plugs, and the original ones were really good and they still work, the Wemo Insight. The newer mini ones, I've had 2 of them die on me already after a year. They just start having weird problems connecting to Wi-Fi, signal quality. I don't know if it was like a bad firmware update or, if there's some defect in them, but I had tons of problems with them staying connected and I just gave up on them. And the Samsung ones are working a lot better. So I've been slowly replacing them with Samsung SmartThings plugs. So I would say, if you don't care about getting locked into one company, either the Google or Amazon products are both good. I've been steering people toward Google more, but the Amazon stuff's pretty good. Both companies have a mixed track record with privacy, so that's a concern that you might have. And if that's how you feel, there are open source products to do smart home integrations where you don't have to use, cloud services. Look into that. Or even picking something like SmartThings. I think the Samsung products are probably a little bit more privacy focused than either the Google or Amazon products. So that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, in the video, I can do a follow-up video or try to answer those questions. Have a nice day.